What a freaking win for the Rangers. This is why we love playoff hockey. I just finished Rangers Town live. That was awesome. Had such a fun time doing that, but a double overtime win for the Rangers at home at MSG in the playoffs. This is what it's all about. Welcome back to the Rami Lavi podcast. My name is Rami Lavi, and what an epic sports night. That was insane. Right now, it's still May 7th as I'm recording this. But what a freaking Rangers win. Let's go, baby. I keep saying it over and over again. By the way, episode brought to you by Huga House. Go to hugahouse.com. Use code Rami, link in the description, for 15% off your first order. I saw a few more people buying some stuff today. If you want sweet hats like this, I didn't wear it. I was on TV for 2 hours today. We'll get to that a little bit later, but the Rangers win. Let's start with that. Start with the broadcast because this is how I wrote my notes. I don't know why, but the ESPN freaking broadcast with Ray McDonough or whatever his name, Ray Farrar and Sean McDonough, those freaking guys, when they're not in the same booth together, they don't have any chemistry. They're talking over each other. That's bothering me the whole time. Sean McDonough, it took him exactly 40 seconds to remind us that, guess what? Peter Laviolette was the head coach when Rod Brindamore won the Stanley Cup as the captain of the Carolina Hurricanes. Mind fucking blown. We heard that 1,000 times. And the funniest part is I tweeted about it and I did a video about how we keep hearing about it. And then it took them 40 seconds to mention it. All right, Rangers win. Relax. Then, with under a minute to go in regulation, Rangers on the power play, they cut to the Dallas and Vegas game, or Dallas and Colorado game. Are you like, what is going on, ESPN? But I digress. Vincent Trocheck, and it's so funny because today I was walking to work and I was thinking about this because I saw my friend Johnny Lazarus tweeted out, hey, if you're looking for something to listen to before game 2, here's what you should listen to. All right, it's his podcast. And I didn't listen to it. I'd already listened to it. I always listen to his podcast. But best Rangers podcast out there on the Believe Podcast Network. Go find it. Lazarus and Zaretsky and those guys. They do an awesome job. And Cody. Can't forget Cody. I think it's called The Blue Yorker. Either way, I saw him tweet it out and I texted him. I'm like, dude, how come Vincent Trocheck is not being talked about like the superstar that he is? He was part of this series on the other side a couple of years ago with Carolina. He's brought here to be that toughness, to be that type of guy who plays the Carolina style, but can fit with the Rangers' skill and the way they play, obviously. He comes here, gets a huge contract, so kind of like a star contract, never really lived up to it, but now this year, in year 2, he's by far exceeded it. And what he's done in the playoffs, he is by far the best Ranger so far this postseason. He is a legitimate superstar. Why aren't we talking about him as the superstar that's been pretty much carrying this team in the postseason? We talk so much about Panarin and the success or lack thereof that he has depending on the game. Everything that happens positive for the Rangers seems to be because or somehow with Vincent Trocheck involved. And tonight was no different, obviously, early on with the assist, but then the goal, the game-winning goal. His line obviously gets the 2 goals early with Lafreniere. He has the assist on the game-tying goal with Kreider, and then he gets the game-winning goal, of course. He was actually bad on faceoffs tonight, but he does so much for them. He's a 90 or whatever it's called. He plays the whole ice, right? He plays in the neutral zone. He plays in the offensive zone. He plays on the penalty kill. He plays on the power play. This is the superstar of the New York Rangers, is Vincent Trocheck. And I feel like he's not getting enough credit. And maybe tonight, after that incredible win, that game-winning goal, he'll start to get talked about because he is a freaking star. He also said in his post-game interview with, I forget her name, Emily Kaplan on ESPN, who does a nice job, by the way. And, you know, I can give credit to ESPN where it's due. She asked him what happened? What happened between the first and second period? Take us inside the Rangers locker room. And he actually did. He said, it was actually Jonathan Quick who got up and spoke to the team and motivated us to tell us, hey, just keep doing what we're doing. We're gonna get this. Don't worry about it. Like, that is awesome to hear from a guy like Vincent Trocheck talking about the impact of Jonathan Quick, even when he's not playing. He's not playing because Igor freaking Shesterkin. You know, we talked about it. Igor's better. We have Igor. You don't. That's going to be the difference ultimately in every one of these playoff series. In a game like tonight, where 54 fucking shots or 54 saves, they give up 57 shots. Igor makes 54 saves. I think that was the final number in this game to win this game. That is exactly the game that you think about. Like, Igor is freaking better. And Igor, if he's playing like this, there's no one who can beat the Rangers. I don't care how long we go. The Rangers are 6-0 in the playoffs right now. And if Igor keeps playing like this, I don't think they're going to run the table, go undefeated. But hey, we're now 1 win away from tying that 2000 or 1994 team that everyone talks about from 30 years ago that won the Cup, the last Ranger team to win the Cup, they were 7-0 to start the postseason. Well, this is pretty fucking special. The Rangers now are 6-0 to start the postseason behind Vincent Trocheck and Igor Shesterkin. Tonight, of course, the captain, Chris Kreider. We'll talk about the other captain by name a little bit later. Chris Kreider with the biggest goal of the game, tying goal in the third period after Lafreniere, who was all over the place. Every time he's on the ice, every time he touches the puck, it feels like a big play is about to happen. He also, similar to Zibanejad, felt like, oh my God, he's going to get a hat trick in the first period, and then it kind of lingered and took a while for him he never ultimately got the hat trick. He had so many opportunities throughout this game to get the hat trick. A couple of times it was the game winner. And this is the type of win that we talked about this. Again, the story comes back to Lazarus with the Rangers a lot, but and I hope he mentions me on the podcast, please. They have such a great podcast. Please mention me. We were at a game together in 2022, first game of the series against Pittsburgh, and it goes to triple overtime, and the Rangers lose. And it was after a goal late in the regulation got called back. It was actually a Filipino goal that got called back. And the way it shifted the series, now the Rangers go down 3-1 in the series anyway. They win the next game, but they go down 3-1. They ultimately come back from down 3-1 and win that series. Crazy series, obviously. But it is the devastation on the other side is almost as like enormous and consequential and influential to the rest of the series as the momentum on the Rangers side. Because if the Rangers had lost this game in double overtime, and after when Trouba takes his 15th penalty of the game and they're shorthanded, or actually it was Panarin who took the penalty because Trouba gets caught pinching in, but Trouba took an insane amount of penalties also, including in overtime. And that's what we'll talk about Trouba a little bit later. If the Rangers lose that game and they now have to go to Carolina and it's 1-1, and this is the first time they're really facing adversity in the playoffs, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, can we do this? I don't know. Like the doubt starts creeping in. All the momentum, all the positive momentum, all the confidence that you built starts to fade a little bit. Instead, it goes the exact opposite. Tell Carolina, hey, cool, you beat the Islanders. Congrats. Good for you. We're about to slap you around because we're a way better team. You were favored coming into the series. You were favored for game one. Here's why you shouldn't have been, because, oh my God, I just spat everywhere. If you're watching this, I apologize. The Rangers are better. We have Igor. We have Trocheck. We have Kreider, Lafreniere, Mika, Panarin. We're just better. And you know what's funny? When I was watching this game, or when I was watching the playoffs really to this point, I don't know how to say this properly without making me sound like a fraud fan. I wasn't feeling the playoff vibe yet with the Rangers. The first round, I didn't know why. I was trying to tell myself maybe it was because 2022, those Rangers, them losing devastated me so much. It kind of changed how I looked at the team last year. And then when they lost I was so fired up for the Devils series last year. I was like, all right, back in the playoffs, let's avenge the previous year's loss. And then they lost the way they lost. So maybe last year, the combination of the devastation 22 and last year's team broke me. And I was like, maybe that's why I'm not as into it. Maybe it was the Knicks. Like the Knicks are so good that I'm so into the Knicks every night that I need like a break every other night when the Rangers are playing. So no, I didn't think it was that. Honestly, it was because the competition sucked. The Rangers swept easily against the Capitals. Game one, they go up 3 goals early. This is the first game that felt like a playoff vibe. This is what the playoffs all about. Sitting with my asshole clenched because I'm so nervous during the late stages of that game, and then 2 overtime periods, sitting there where I'm like, oh my God, on the edge of my couch with every motion, like that's what you live for. That's freaking playoff hockey. And when the Rangers won this game or not, I am thrilled they won this game, but I finally felt the playoff hockey. And now this is the first moment the Rangers have had in the 2024 playoffs. And I can't wait for the rest of this. Now I'm fired up. I'm all the way in. I was emotional at the end of that game, watching Igor run out and wave to the crowd, watching Vinny Trocheck run out. This is what it's about at Madison Square Garden. I can't wait for the next one at MSG, but I hope we go into freaking Carolina. I'm excited for the Rangers to go into Carolina, for that hostile environment, for how loud it's going to be, for the Rangers to silence that loud crowd. I can't wait for it. I can't wait for Thursday right now with the New York Rangers. I'm so excited. And you know what's starting to happen? You're starting to grow the disdain, the animosity that you have for the other team. Freaking Natchez, D'Angelo, Svechnikov, these guys, Sebastian Aho, Jake Gensel, obviously, because we have a history with him with Pittsburgh. We also have a history with all these guys there. I can't stand the look of Jarvis's face anymore. I don't want to see Jarvis's face anymore. It pisses me off. He has an annoying face, and if you know what I mean. Like, I'm starting to hate these guys. Obviously, Tony D'Angelo, I don't know if I mentioned him, although Brady Shea, I love him. Every time he does something stupid, I'm like, at least he's doing it for them. I said the battle, this is actually right before the Rangers win the game. I said the biggest battle of this series is going to be who's going to make more dumb mistakes, if it's going to be Brady Shea or Jacob Trouba. In this game, it was pretty much even, but the Rangers took advantage of the Brady Shea mistake. The special teams has been the bit different so far, right? Rangers scored 2 power play goals. They've been incredible on the penalty kill. You can't bank on keeping it up. You can't keep taking these penalties if you're the Rangers. And the other negative thing is Jacob Trouba. Some people are not made for every series. We talked about this a lot on the afternoon show today, which I'll get to a little bit later with Matt Rempe. Matt Rempe, I don't think is made for this series. And the bigger issue is not that he's only playing like 7 to 12 minutes. So what's the big deal? Well, that's part of it. You can only roll. They're rolling 3 lines in the third period and overtime because they can't put the fourth line out there because he's not playable. It's not that when he's out there, he's making such a bad impact on the game or lack thereof, either way. It's that how many times is Laviolette going to actually put him out there? And if he's not putting him out there, everyone else, it just messes up with everyone else. It's hard to run just 9 forwards especially if it goes to double overtime like this game did. He was barely even playing Kako in the third period, which is just crazy. He played him a couple times, a couple shifts in overtime. It's like, wow, think about what this guy was supposed to be for us. And the drop off between him and Jack Hughes is crazy. But Jacob Trouba is a guy who's not made for this series. It's so funny because you're going back and forth between that's an incredible hit, Trouba. Wow, he just threw someone into the boards. And oh my God, another penalty, another play where he's caught in transition or caught pinching in or caught in the neutral zone or caught one-on-one. And he's not quick enough for the pace of this series. It's some teams, some guys are not made to play against every team. And look, there have been issues all year with Trouba, but this was just a historically bad game, like an awful game. I get he's the captain of the team. You're not benching him anytime soon, but man, this was a frustrating game to watch as a Ranger fan, to watch Jacob Trouba in this game. But overall, I hit my bets, by the way, pretty much with ease because I had a point for Trocheck, I had a point for Gensel, and I had shots on goal for Lafreniere, and that was easy. And I had shots on goal for Zibanejad also, which was boosted. So, I mean, those all hit really easy. Zibanejad almost hit the shots on goal. He might have even hit it in the first period. But the Rangers, I'm all the way in. I'm excited. Rangers playoff hockey. Let's go. Let's move over to the baseball. I want to do the baseball first, and then I have obviously there's some Knicks news we have to get into if you're following along. You know that there's some Knicks news. So let's get into it a little bit, starting with the Yankees. The New York Yankees, look, we talked about this a little bit on the afternoon show, so I'll get to that now. I worked the afternoon show with Evan and Tiki. It was really fun. I was on TV for 2 hours today on SNY, and I got one lousy picture from one friend who sent me a picture. That was it. Tweeted out a picture of me. Hey, look, isn't Rami Levy on TV? That's it. I was on TV for 2 hours. No one could grab a screenshot. No one could take a picture of their TV or anything. I pretty much told people before, I'm going to be on TV. This is cool. Nothing. Some supportive friends I have. So I don't know. Did I look good on TV? Did I look like an ass? I don't know. Talked a little bit. I was bringing papers in. I was producing the show. It was fun. We were having a good time. We had a really good time on the show. But one of the topics we talked about, Evan and Tiki were debating back and forth if beating this version of the Astros team is fun, if it's still a rivalry, if it's still if you still hate them. Now you still hate them because it's still the same guys. There's Verlander and there's Bregman and there's Altuve who are like the face of the cheating scandal, right? But at the same time, it's not fun for me. I'm not enjoying beating this version of the Astros. I'm happy that the Yankees put up 10 runs and won. I'm happy that Juan Soto was dominant, although I bet him to hit a home run because of the Verlander star. I was like, oh, he's definitely going to home run. He did everything but homer. I think he had 4 hits and 3 runs scored, but he didn't homer. The Yankees scored 10 runs. I think Volpe homered. Obviously, Verdugo homered. Stanton homered. But everyone but Soto homered. So, of course, because I bet him. But it's not like I'm not enjoying the Yankees dominating the Astros, but it's not the same. Like the Yankees need to beat a good Astros team for me to feel like we beat the Demons. The Yankees last year beat the Astros and it didn't matter. The Yankees stunk already. It was late in the season. Like I didn't care that the Yankees beat the Astros at that point in the season. So this is the same thing to me. Like why would I care right now that the Yankees are beating the Astros? I want the Yankees to beat the Astros at their height. Then I'll get over the losses from the past years. But if the Astros are just cooked and they're done and the Yankees now win a World Series, it won't feel the same as if they did it while the Astros are at their height. I'm sorry, it just won't. It's like we never had an opportunity to beat that Astros team. So I'm actually rooting, not now in this series, I want the Yankees to sweep their asses, but I'm rooting for the Astros to get it the fuck together because a lot of swearing on this episode. Maybe just fired up from the Rangers when I had too much dairy. I had to poop in the middle of the game. I waited for the second intermission of the overtime. Whatever, it's wild. And a milkshake. It was great. But I feel like The Yankees. Yeah. I want the Astros to get it together and start playing a little better so that the Yankees can then kick their ass in the playoffs. And then I'll feel like, all right, we beat the Demons, we beat the Astros, and that'll feel better. To the Mets, they make it happen. The make it happen Mets, they find a way. And they scored all 6 of their runs, by the way, in between periods of the Ranger game. And I don't even remember which periods it was. I think it was between the second and third periods because I don't know. That just makes sense to me in my head based on what I was doing. Because that game went on forever. It was starting. There were so many like intermissions for the Ranger game that it was all starting to blend together. But I turned on the Mets game during the intermission. And I'm like, this is perfect. The Yankees were already up big, so I didn't even watch that point in the Yankee game. I was like, all right, I'll just watch the Met game. By the way, I did see an RBI single from Aaron Judge. I lied. I did turn on the Yankee game for a second. Then I flipped to the Mets game. The Mets scored 6 runs in 1 inning. It was great. They scored all their runs. I think they actually ended up scoring 7, but they ended up scoring 6 of their runs in 1 inning. Almost like, hey guys, we got you. We see that you're watching the Ranger game. Oh, quick break from the Ranger game. Let's score 6 runs real quick here. Let's take the lead. They're down early. They find a way. They make it happen. That's why they call them to make it happen. Mets. They ultimately win 7-5. Great job by everyone. And Adam Ottavino closes it out. I was wondering how that was going to go. Who was going to be able to close it out? It was a little shaky as always with Ottavino. He gave up a run. But without Edwin Diaz today, they find a way to close it out. So good job by the Mets making it happen. And the bigger thing, Pete Alonso with that big 2-run double, maybe it could finally get him going. If Pete Alonso gets hot, it's huge. And of course, Lindor, Marte, Nimmo, still so hot at the top of the lineup. Those guys have just been raking for the Mets. And this is big. And it's so weird. They talked about this during the game. It feels like the Mets offense either scores a ton or can barely squeeze across a couple runs. And that's been the difference. The games they're winning are games that they're finding ways to score a bunch of runs. And the games they're losing are games that they can't score at all. I know it makes sense. It's not like the most intelligent thing I've ever said, but if this lineup, this is why I said before the season that the Mets are going to be good based on how good this lineup is. And I think this lineup can be really good. Now, to the Knicks, before we get to the big news that I want to talk about, obviously, I did see a tweet from my buddy Brendan Tierney comparing Jalen Brunson to Mariano Rivera. Now, I didn't listen to their show on the way in. I was listening to the morning show still. I was listening on delay. So Brunson to Rivera was his point. And it's such a good comp. It's a new level of calmness and expectation of when the ball's in his hands, you expect something good to happen. You feel calm. You're not nervous. There's no jitters. It's like whatever he does is going to be the right move. In the fourth quarter yesterday, when they're down 1, they're down 5, they're down 2, they're down 3, every time, like they keep going down. And every time Brunson came back with an answer. And I was not nervous for a second. I don't remember any basketball player that I felt this way. He hits the 3 with the hand in his face. Every single time he had an answer, he came back. And it was again and again, the pull-up jumpers, different moves. Every single time Jalen Brunson had an answer. And that late in the game with the game on the line, that's the Mariano Rivera of it. It's a different sport. It's totally different. But it just, hey, he's going to hit the shot. It's the cool, calm. We expect it to happen. We're not nervous about this. We expect this to happen. And then just seeing him on the graphic with Michael Jordan, it just makes you appreciate how special this is, what Jalen Brunson's doing right now. Can we all take a moment? They're posting ESPN and every account is posting graphics of Michael Jordan with Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks, your New York Knicks point guard, who wasn't supposed to be this great point guard. He was overpaid and all the different things that people said about him. He's now putting up and setting records that only Michael Jordan, the GOAT, has done. Like, it is unbelievable what this guy, Jalen Brunson, is doing. Appreciate that. Just seeing the graphic just blows my mind. It's incredible to watch. And one more thing before we get to the news. Tommy Beer tweeted this out last night. I saw it this morning. Tonight, the Nova Knicks, so this is talking about last night, the Nova Knicks, Brunson, Harden, DiVincenzo combined for 92 points, 22 rebounds, and 15 assists. Insanely / incredibly over New York's past 2 games, game 6 versus Philly and game 1 versus Indiana. This trio has scored or assisted on 219 of the Knicks' 239 points. All but 20 points. Again, those 3 guys have either scored or assisted on all but 20 of the Knicks' 239 points over the last 2 games. That is mind-numbing. It is crazy what these 3 guys are doing for this team right now, the way they're carrying this team. It's absolutely insane. By the way, the 2-minute report came out, and like the debate is it stupid? Is it dumb? Is it worth it? Like, why do we have the 2-minute report in the first place? And I do think, whatever, it's stupid, but there was something in there, speaking of the Nova Knicks, There was a 3-second violation on Miles Turner that wasn't called late in the game. That would have been an automatic free throw for the Knicks also. So, all the calls went the Knicks' way. Not all the calls went the Knicks' way, by the way. And Ryan Arcidiacono, former Nova guy, also would have been on the bench pointing that out, would have been calling, yelling for it from the bench. Somebody's got to buy him a ticket for one of these games. I know he's not on the team, but I think he went to Detroit or something. Somebody get him behind the Knicks bench. Like, you can't, like, I don't understand. So he's not on the team. You can't like put him on, like, I don't know, just sign him to the coaching staff for a day, do something so they could sit there and point out the 3-second violations, because I guarantee you we haven't gotten one since he's been off the team. And when he was on the team, he was calling them out all the time. And it was actually really helpful for the Knicks stealing points. It would help in the playoffs. So that was something interesting. So Mitchell Robinson is out. This is the big news. Mitchell Robinson will miss 6 to 8 weeks again with something in his ankle. And it sucks. It sucks again. This guy's out again. But I'm really not looking forward to hearing all of these ignorant takes from people. Look at how many guys are hurt. Thibs runs his guys into the ground. It's too hard. Thibs, this is Thibs' fault. Look at Randall's out, and now Bogdanovich is out. He's playing these guys, only 7 guys, playing them 50. Shut up. You sound stupid when you talk about this. You sound dumb. Julius Randle's injury was a freak injury. Bojan Bogdanovich's injury was because, guess what? They're dirty, the Sixers, and he got stepped on by a dirty player. The same thing with Mitchell Robinson. He got hit by dirty Joel Embiid, got pulled down by dirty Joel Embiid. That's why the Knicks are injured. The Knicks aren't injured because of Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau is the reason this team is successful. You know what Tom Thibodeau always says? He says, we have enough with what we have. It's not going to be easy without Mitchell Robinson, sure. You know what's actually funny is the Knicks, one of their big advantages was their size, their offensive rebounding, their size. That was actually a big advantage for the Knicks in this series because the Pacers don't have a ton of size. But it's actually not the worst thing in the world that the Knicks are now missing some of this size. They still have more size than the Pacers, and it's just lessening an advantage that they had. It's not like, oh, how are we going to compete? Like, if there was no Mitchell Robinson in the Sixers series, like, how could you compete with Joel Embiid without Mitchell Robinson? There's none of that in this series. Isaiah Hartenstein shouldn't be getting in foul trouble like he was against Joel Embiid. That just shouldn't be happening in this series. Precious Achiuwa can play with Miles Turner. Precious Achiuwa can play with Pascal Siakam. This shouldn't be a series where it kills the Knicks. Even if they make it to the next round against Boston, that shouldn't be something that kills them. Look, it'll lessen an advantage that they have. And look, 7 guys now who Thibs relies on. I don't know who's going to, if it's Jericho Sims, if it's Alec Brooks, it feels like he has to start relying on someone else. And maybe with a 1-0 series lead, he does start to try and mix in someone else. I don't know. But to say that Tom Thibodeau is the reason they're losing when he's quite literally the reason they're winning, and it's the mentality that he has, and he's going to go into that room and he's going to say it tomorrow during the press conference. They're going to ask him about the injuries. He's going to say, we have enough. We don't have a ton. We have injuries, but we have enough to win. Stop making excuses. When the series is over, when next series is over, when the next playoff run is over, I don't care how it ends. Appreciate what this team is doing despite all of it. Don't make excuses that they lost because of it. I don't want to hear it. I'm not looking forward to hearing the people who blame Tom Thibodeau. You sound ignorant. And I'm not looking forward to the people who are going to say, well, we were injured. We would have been better. Look, if they lose, they lose. There's no reason for them to lose, even though they're healthy enough to get the job done. All right, that's going to do it for me. Rami Levy podcast. Like, subscribe, buy the hat, share it wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, love you all. Let's go Rangers. Let's go Knicks. See ya.